Life is a journey from birth to death. Upon any journey partaked by any traveler, the traveler must endure the road's many treacheries. Because humans are social creatures, no man can truly exist happily alone. Therefore, the journey of life can never truly be walked alone. In The Approximate Size of My Favorite Tumor by Sherman Alexie, the story follows a man named Jimmy Many Horses, who is diagnosed with terminal cancer and is facing death. In the story, he notoriously uses humor and sarcasm to address all of his problems in life, but the night of his death renders his humor futile. Until the end, his company of loneliness is expelled by the returning of his wife. However, The White Horse by Nguyen Ba Toc offers an alternative experience. In the story, Mr. Nguyen is the only member of his family immigrated to the United States. In order to survive the aimlessness and the lonely life that he leads, Mr. Nguyen nonchalantly wanders into his memories to seek comfort. These reminiscences are his only way to battle his loneliness. These two stories show that throughout life, challenges arise ubiquitously. While individuals' unique efforts are adequate for most challenges, some challenges are overwhelming for individuals alone. Thus, the need for proper companions to provide the auxiliary supports are indispensable. Humor is one of the oldest and most effective ways to cope with unfortunate events. Alexei describes that humor was an antiseptic that cleaned the deepest of personal wounds. Oftentimes, when something tragic unfolds, the afflicted, helpless individuals are typically left with two options: allow frustration and despair to reign, or to allow laughter to bring some mirth. Jamie's method focuses on humor, which defines his character, and his attempt at maximizing his enjoyment of life within the confines of his Indian reservation. The terminal cancer that has afflicted Jimmy isn't far from being the subject of a joke. He even called it his favorite tumor, and described it as the size of a baseball, shaped like one too, even has stitch marks. This comic response to such a morbid circumstance clearly reflects his lackadaisical and comical nature. Also, it displays how his characteristic and personality wouldn't allow a crisis of this magnitude to turn him into his opposite, a serious and flustered man. Alternatively, reminiscing is a method used by people who have several experiences in life, as shown by Tom. Mr. Nguyen has experienced a more enjoyable life in Vietnam, but he is stranded in the United States. The dilemma facing Mr. Nguyen is being described as a Vietnamese cast far from his family, his friends, and his homeland, mired in endless worries, remembrance, and sorrow. In his current life, it is apparent that he has no desire or interest because he doesn't file his taxes on time, does no accounting, and receives over 40 tickets for moving violations. He copes with such miseries by letting his spirit shuffles back and forth between America and his homeland, way on the other side of the globe. This method allows his mind to wander into his sanctuary of memories, since physically he doesn't have a haven. However, various methods of coping are inadequate in terms of vanquishing the plaguing desires for proper company. The strongest correlation between the two stories and culture is the emphasis placed upon the loved ones. In The Approximate Size of My Favorite Tumor, the primary focus of the flashback is Norma Many Horses. He confesses that her leaving was a lesser matter compared to how she arrived in his life. In The White Horse, the primary focus of the flashback is the past life of Mr. Nguyen. Once someone has experienced the better parts of life, it is often difficult to backtrack. When it is in terms of people, individuals form emotional attachment and eventually they become appendages of individuals. For Jimmy, the toll of loneliness manifests when he noticed one of those old-style clocks with hands and a face looks just like somebody laughing if he stared at it long enough. This not only reflects his comical filter, but also his desire for companionship from just about anyone. It is proven by him attempting to collect attention to dissipate his isolation by writing letters to his loved ones on special reservation stationery. When Norma returns to his side with the reason someone needs to help him die the right way, reflects that during the journey of life, the right companion is crucial in finishing the journey properly. Furthermore, despite the grandiose spiritual connection, natural behaviors will render physical connections necessary. In The White Horse, the primary focus of the flashback is the past life of Mr. Nguyen. Despite thinking about the suffering of the past doesn't help the heart to avoid being hurt, he describes memory as a horse on an ephemeral path. He is aware that dwelling in the past does not help the present, yet he continues to let the horse go where it wants to go. Therefore, Mr. Nguyen constantly daydreams about his own neighborhood. He cannot hold a physical contact with his past life. Indirectly, his family is with him in spirit and in his memories, but he physically satisfies his mind by filling up a gift box to send home to his family, parents, brothers and sisters, wife and kids. It is never revealed if Mr. Nguyen's family is alive or not. Culturally, this may influence his action. In Asian cultures, when someone dies, the person still receives materials by placing the items on his or her grave. In this sense, the dead is never forgotten, nor is the dead being excluded from the rituals of the living. While individuals have their own methods of handling their problems, loneliness can only contribute to the difficulty of resolving life's challenges. The two stories are linked by a challenge in life, a personal ways to address problems, and an indispensable need for loved ones. Even though their challenges may be different, one dealing with death and the other dealing with isolation, and their methods of addressing problems may differ. One uses humor and the other uses reminiscing. Neither of these challenges can be conquered by individual outlook and philosophy. The existence of companion in a family is essential for any human being because no one enjoys being alone forever.